Hi, and welcome back to a quick Save It for Parts spring gadget review. This is not a sponsored review, this is just something I've been complaining about for a while, and I finally upgraded. So every year around this time I have to dig through the garden shed, switch out the winter gas engines for the summer gas engines. Fortunately this year we didn't really have a winter, so I didn't use the snowblower at all. But I have to dig out the lawnmower, dig out the Weedwhacker, and then it's usually several hours of trying to get the stupid Weedwhacker to run properly. You have to remember what the oil mix ratio is, figure out if you have the right oil, find the right gas, get it all cleaned out, find a new spark plug, clean out the filters. Eventually, you get around to getting it started. It never starts right. After about 35 pulls, your arm's sore, and it might start running for a few minutes, and by that point, your grass has already grown another 6 inches, so you might as well just throw this thing in the trash. And then, of course, I end up with a million little gas cans in the shed. We've got premium gas, non-premium gas, premix for the outboard, premix for the chainsaw, premix for the Weedwhacker, and half of this is over a year old. So instead of fighting the gas Weedwhacker this year, I'm going to put it where it truly belongs. And try out one of these here newfangled electrical Weedwhackers. Now, electricity's been around for a couple years now. It used to be that outdoor battery-powered tools were even worse than gas-powered tools, if that's possible. They only had like 12 volts or 18 volts, but nowadays we've got 40 volts. So I'm looking forward to trying out the future here and seeing how this does on my yard. Again, this is not a sponsored review. I went out and paid my own money for this thing. I just wanted to give you guys a look at how well it works. If you're on the fence about an electric power tool like this, yeah, let's see what it does. And then I can never pass up a chance to badmouth small gas engines. Guess we could read the instructions, or I could just start jamming slot A and tab B. Charger. Now this really reminds me of the old Black & Decker 18 volt batteries. Same little sleeve thing that slides on the top here. These things work just fine for drills, but they also run some Black & Decker outdoor tools, which are terrible. 18 volts is not appropriate for anything bigger than a drill, and really a drill is kind of pushing it at this day and age. We've got some optional safety accessories. Now the other main thing that I always fight with these is getting the string into the little complicated torture chamber down here. This is always a giant hassle, but we're gonna see how easy this one is too. And I did make sure to get an extra spool of wire, which I think this cartridge might just pop into the bottom. I don't have to re-spool it myself. All right, we've got that all assembled. I admit I did have to look at the picture on the front of the manual to figure out where all the doodads went, but I didn't even have to open the manual. I guess you could if you're into that sort of thing, but this is pretty simple. And wow, this whole thing is super lightweight. So the Weedwhacker weighs about 4 pounds, and the battery's another 2 pounds. Now the antique gas trimmer weighs over 11 pounds empty, so once you put fuel in it, it's probably closer to 12, so double the weight of the electric job. That might not seem like much, but if you've got a pretty big yard like me, yeah, it gets pretty tedious to pack around this thing all day long. Speaking of big yards, I'm curious to see if one battery is going to do my entire property. I have a triple lot, so it's 3 times the size of a normal city lot, and my house is really small, so most of that is grass. And yeah, I only bought one battery for this, so a little leery to see will that handle the entire yard or not. We're gonna find out. Now, this did not come charged, so we'll have to throw it on the charger first. But I usually mow first and then come back and weed whack all the areas that I missed later, so that gives us plenty of time to charge this up. And yes, I am still using ye old gasoline mower. I would like to upgrade to an electric one. I haven't quite bitten the bullet on that yet. I think once I see how well this thing does, I might get either another 40 volt lawnmower, or I might upgrade to an 80 volt lawnmower, which I think is even better. But yeah, we're gonna try out this newfangled electric fad first, see how it does. I did have a company from Amazon offer to send me a robotic Roomba mower, but I've used a Roomba before, and I would absolutely not trust something like that with spinning blades on it. I think it would massacre every flower in the yard and then just f off down the street looking for Sarah Connor. So no robot mowers for me, thank you, unless the technology really improves. I think we're gonna stick with the old-fashioned human-piloted ones. Well, so far this thing is working really well. It's done large areas, it's done detailed edging. I've been able to get in close around trees and flowers and whatnot. We've done about half the yard so far, and I'm at 3 out of 4 bars on the battery, so we still have plenty of juice left in it. Now, I did use up the starter string. That didn't last very long. These are all a little different. It looks like this one you just push in some tabs on the side, and there's actually still string in there. It just didn't want to come out properly. I'm not convinced I got the right replacement spool. These look completely different, so I may have to return this one. All right, that was fairly painless to replace, or in this case, just feed it back out. I'm not super convinced how robust this feed system is because it's already gotten stuck once, and it just seems a little cheap to be able to pop it in and out with these little clips, but we'll see how long that lasts. So I was still having trouble feeding the line. I did have to resort to reading the manual, and it says not to bump it to let more line out. It has an auto feed head, which those are always kind of a gimmick. They never actually work very well. It does have a manual feed button, so you can stop it, push this button, pull some more string out. That's really my only complaint about this so far, but even the gas ones, the feeds never feed right. So really this is no different than a gas one when it comes to feeding line out. However, it is much different than a gas one when it comes to starting up at the push of a button, running as long as I want to use it. I've been using this thing for an hour now, and yeah, we're still at 2 bars on the battery. So I think it's great. It's gone longer than the stupid gas one would on a tank of gas. It has had none of the gas issues with carburetor, dirty gas, spark plugs, filters, all of that nonsense that just makes any small gas engine a nightmare to work with. This is the future. Push button, electric, that's the way to go. Only other possible complaint, this handle here, it doesn't really get tight or stay tight. It still wobbles around, but I almost don't need it. This thing is light enough. I can just one hand the thing across the lawn. So yeah, this again, these things are hard to tighten up on gas trimmers, so it's kind of a design flaw of trimmers in general and not the electric one specifically. All in all, yeah, super happy with my new electric weed whacker. This is going to be the main edging garden tool and tight area tool for getting in behind sheds, in between boats, cleaning up parts of the yard that I can't get with the lawnmower, and yeah, that gas weed whacker, never gonna use one of those again if I can possibly help it. I might pull that one out of the trash and donate it to Sandland, but only if I'm really feeling like punishing someone out at Sandland, because that thing is just, it's punishment to use those. So yeah, definitely a wonderful product. 5 stars, would buy again. And again, not sponsored at all, but I'll throw some links down in the description if you're interested in this weed whacker. Special thanks to all the commenters on my channel last year who complained that I don't mow or trim my yard enough. Well, hey, now we can mow and trim the yard without fighting gas engines every single time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.